Hey everybody, what's happening? I am back with another quick first impressions video of a TV show for you. And it's not a full review, I'm just giving you my first impressions. I don't have a lot of time, and it's such a big show, it will take me forever to talk about it in detail properly. But I'm just going to do a quick first impressions review of the first 3 episodes that just dropped on Prime Video. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, yes. So this show is a little bit controversial. Season one, had a couple of issues, a couple of lapses in logic, but I still enjoyed it. Overall, I still did like season one, even though it's nowhere near as good as Peter Jackson's Holy Trilogy, of course. But what is, right? I mean, in terms of films, anyway. I mean, this is a TV show. It's a little different. It's certainly not related to those films in any way. But because it is a show, it does have the advantage of telling more storylines in more detail with more characters, and we do get a lot of Tolkien's world well represented in this show. I feel the world building is fantastic. I really love the story of Sauron the Deceiver. That's the main hook here for me, is seeing how Sauron claimed his evil throne once again, and became the threat that he was by the end of the Second Age. At the end of season one, he wound up deceiving Galadriel, who then exposed him, but not to Celebrimbor. Remember that. So she didn't tell the blacksmith of the elves, Celebrimbor. She didn't tell him that he's Sauron. He just said, "Don't trust him. He's not what he seems." So that's important. By the way, I won't be spoiling anything here. Not really. I'm just gonna tell you what the beginning is, and everything like that. And the show this season two, it does begin episode one with a flashback showing just how powerful Sauron is, showing how hard he is to kill, and he's inevitably going to be taking his throne back from Adar, whatever he's called. This is a character they made up, but that's okay. So yeah, season two for me is getting really exciting because of the advancing storyline of Sauron and other characters. So obviously Sauron is there to deceive Celebrimbor, the blacksmith, into making more rings of power after the first 3 were made already. Elrond and Galadriel and the High King Gil-galad, they must deal with these 3 new rings that were made in season 1. So they are in a different place called Lindon, and Sauron is in Eregion with Celebrimbor, who's not supposed to trust him, but we all know that he gives in at some point and trusts him. So Elrond, I mean, he's smart. He fears Sauron's influence on these 3 rings, but Galadriel knows that they are uncorrupted. We also get to see Círdan, the shipmaster, something we didn't get in the Lord of the Rings films. Now, as interesting as that part of the story is, the Numenor story is probably the least interesting, but I do know where it's going, with Pharazôn looking to take power, while Elendil believes his son is dead, but we all know Isildur's not gonna die. He's gotta make it to the end of the Second Age, and he's gotta defeat Sauron. That's the story. So, yeah, so we know that he's gonna be okay. Beric, his clever and loyal horse, almost steals one of the episodes here. Beric is a very cool horse that goes looking for his master Isildur, and I'm really looking forward to things this season, like the Barrow-wights, these antagonists, the Entwives, the wives of the Ents, the walking, talking trees, and Tom Bombadil too, so that we're getting all this great fan service, for book fans and everything, this season. Yet it does seem like book fans are quite divided on Rings of Power, because it also introduces some new characters like Adar, Lord of the Mordor, for now, not for long. But we also get these Hobbit like Harfoots, right? They're my least favorite part of the show. There's not that big a presence of Harfoots in season 2 so far. Of course, we got Nori, but I don't really hate them. I don't really hate them. I don't hate her. I don't hate her friend. I don't really hate the characters. I just think that they're very kind of meh. Just kind of mediocre. It's like, where are you going with this? Hopefully somewhere good. So in the end, no adaptation is going to be 100% like the books. But I felt like there was a really fun mystery going on with the stranger, this wizard. Is he Gandalf? Not likely. I think he could be Saruman. He could be one of the blue wizards that was barely spoken of in the books. Who knows? I just want to keep watching to find out. I do have faith the Harfoots will serve a greater purpose in the stranger's quest to fully discover who he is. Personally, I think that the Durin and Disa stuff, the dwarf stuff, was just wonderful. The friction between the king and his son and trying to mend that and everything. I thought it was great. I love everything that they do with the dwarves is fantastic. But Sauron becoming Anatar and tricking Celebrimbor into making more rings of power is really the best part of these 3 episodes so far. It's honestly worth watching this show just for that part of the story alone. So, while Rings of Power, it isn't perfect, it tends to have some issues here and there, certainly some logical lapses, even for a fantasy. But during my first viewing of Season 2, Episodes 1 to 3, I didn't have any problems at all like that. It was very enjoyable. I wasn't bored for a second, not looking at my phone. There's a lot of dialogue, certainly. There's a lot of undermining and manipulation going on, and, things like that, and a lot of sincere emotional things going on as well. Celebrimbor, naturally, he's quite gullible, of course, but that's what happened in the books. So, that's how it goes. The sets here, very impressive. The CGI looks really good, too, so it's money well spent. Some of the criticisms I don't really understand. Some are saying they didn't get Sauron right, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, there's more to Sauron than it seems, and I think they did, actually. I think they really did get Sauron quite right. And I think the actor Vickers here, I think he does a great job. I think expectations need to be a little bit more open. I think the gatekeepers need to ease up a little bit and allow some creative, changes, because not everything can be told properly. Not everything can be done legally, and some things, but, first stage stuff. But also, not everything can be done successfully in terms of an adaptation from book to film. Not absolutely everything can be done that way, I don't think, in terms of this story, certainly. So yeah, I mean, and with Sauron, I mean, he's got this long list of abilities. He's beyond human. He's beyond an elf in terms of his immortality, his magic skills and everything. He's extremely difficult to kill character, and so you have to go with that and go, yeah, Sauron is one badass. I see a lot of people becoming big Sauron fans by the end of this show. They're making him kind of like Darth Vader, except he didn't really start out that innocent. But anyway, so I'm not going to score it. I'm not going to give it a score out of 10, but my thumb is up with great admiration for the makers of this show who, they have to deal with a Star Warsian level of gatekeeping from some of these, fans that are hating on it and stuff. And that's fine. As long as you're watching it and you're thinking about it, then you can review it and trash it or love it. Either way, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not assuming, it's bad and therefore you're not watching it. That's really not fair, is it? No, it's not a fair world. What can you do? I found it exciting, the first 3 episodes anyway. Really well made, and I don't care about it not being perfect in terms of an adaptation. I will be watching until the end of this season for sure. All right, guys, that's it for my first impressions review of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, on Amazon Prime Video. And until next time, peace.